I can activate it with a button now. It's great. Nice Tetris mug. All right, and welcome to episode 133 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me for what'll probably be a much lighter show, but more personable than the last one, we have Rachel.
Hello.
Chris.
Hello.
Chase.
G'day.
And Steven.
Yo.
Oh, man. So last episode, we talked exclusively about the Nintendo Direct and the Microsoft event that happened because there was just so much crap that we kind of skipped over what we've been doing. So we're going to kind of focus on that for a little while because, you know, we're people. We like to talk. So to start us off with that, Rachel, what have you been doing?
Oh man, have I been up to some things in the last couple weeks?
Yeah, I know you had some catching up to do. That's why I'm like, let's just let her go.
Well, I so much stuff. A lot of it all just let's see. Have I been doing anything really like prevalent in gaming? Kinda. But I am watching Interview with the Vampire season 2. Is anyone else watching that? No. Anybody?
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I didn't realize it was still a show.
Yes.
I think of it as a book and a movie, and that's all I ever hear about.
Well, it's a now 2-season show on AMC Plus.
Okay.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's not a faithful adaptation because they changed the time period. People's races are different. All kinds of like different stuff going on. There's definitely some story beat changes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still very good. Sam Reed, I love him so much. It's like someone stuck their hand into the book series and plucked him out as Lestat himself. Like literally perfect. 100% perfect. No notes at all. I started watching the show just for him because I knew how big of a fan he was of the books and everything. And I'm staying because it's genuinely a good show. Season 2 is about to be done. The last episode drops like tonight at midnight. And I'm very excited. And it did get renewed for season 3, and we're gonna get Rockstar Lestat. So I'm excited.
Nice.
But I've been reading a lot of books. I'm still working my way through Hexed by Kevin Hearn. I started rereading A Discovery of Witches when I was staying at a hotel a few weeks ago. I did a little weekend staycation to get away from my house for a few days.
A little peace and quiet.
Yeah, a little peace and quiet. I'd also gone to like a little miniature con thing over near the coast, like Space Coast. It was called Space Coast Con. I went over there those few weeks ago.
I just want to say Space Coast, Coast to Coast, because it sounded like you were trying to say that, but kept messing up.
No, good thought, but no.
Yeah.
I started rereading that like that weekend, and I read like 10 chapters in a day. I was like, oh my god, I forgot how good this book was. But I've been more into books lately. I don't know. It ebbs and flows. But I've been going to used bookstores. So what I like to do, trade secret for anybody who wants books, keep an eye out for like garage sales in your area, and go to them and just offer them however much for their box of books that they have. Because 90% of the time they just want to get rid of it anyway, and they're fine with making a couple bucks off it. Then you take those books that you just bought for, I don't know, $10 at a yard sale, take that whole box over to your local used bookstore, get store credit for it. They get more stock of books to sell to people.
You're a damn dirty reseller.
Exactly. But I only do it with books. It's good for the economy. So
just don't get as bad as the one time I had a yard sale who showed up wanting my NES games, and at 6 o'clock in the morning before we even started, walked into my house and pestered us until I sold him the box. Just don't do that.
Oh no, God no. Why would I do that? That's terrible.
What did you have in there?
It was a bad time when I actually sold some NES games, but regardless, I was like, how about punch this dude?
You must have had like 6 little Samsons. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. I know, Rachel, I know how you are about books.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I could see you going that crazy.
No, absolutely not. No, it's good for the economy. I support
I
local
know, I'm just
bookstores.
giving you a hard time.
But anyway, when I've been going there, I found a copy of. It's not a good series, but if you are a fan of Vampire the Masquerade, that tabletop RPG, has anyone played that?
I haven't played it.
A long time ago. Okay, so maybe
I'm familiar with the video game part of it, but not the tabletop.
Right. So there was a very short-lived, like 7 or 8 episode TV series called Kindred the Embraced, and it was in like the mid 90s that it happened. This is not.
That.
It's not good. It is. it is okay at best, but it's it's
aggressively okay.
It's
something.
It's something, and it's Vampire the Masquerade related. So I was in the bookstore, right? And someone had hidden a stack of books in this section. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in this stack was this. And I'm like, I didn't see what it was. And I said, this looks like a Vampire the Masquerade thing, because I recognized that rose. And I turned over and I saw the title and I was like, oh my God. Proceeded to open it up. It's got a little lore book in there, like you would have with your, tabletop RPG book that you get, the actual physical one. Like, but it had a little tiny little lore book that told a few little, stories, had some playbook information, pretty standard stuff. And then this letter welcoming you to like the Kindred or something in there. It was like a complete box set of this 7 episode, 8 actually, because there's one unaired episode, but that's on the DVD set. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna buy this. Somebody hid these. And you snooze, you lose, buddy. But then also in that pile was this book. It's vamped by David Sosnowski. And I didn't think much with the cover. I'm like, okay, I normally don't read books like this, with covers like this. It just seems like, I don't know. And so I'm looking at it, and there's a bunch of reviews at the front. I'm talking like 2 pages worth of reviews at the front, which is weird. And the first one I see, not the first one that's like there, but the first one that catches my eye is the line, "Put Anne Rice and Mel Brooks in a blender."
Yikes.
And I went
for the rest of the joke.
and then you'd get Marty Kowalski, a Polish-born vampire in Hamtramck, Michigan. And I was like, this sounds hysterical. What? It's got Anne Rice and Mel Brooks vibes? Sign me up. And it's next on my to-read list. But then of course I found Jonathan Barrett, Gentleman Vampire by P.N. Elrod.
That is an ungodly large book, by the way.
It's got four books in one volume.
That is a weapon of home defense.
It 100% is.
You can hit somebody, it'll take a bullet. I guarantee you ain't passing through that.
Yeah. P&L Red books are very hard to find. They also wrote, she also wrote a book series that's just called The Vampire Files, and it's about a private investigator, like old style detective novel, but he's a vampire. And the vampire stuff is secondary to like everything else. The mythos is very different in this one, and but all these P&L Red books I was reading when I was in middle school. Should I have been reading these when I was in middle school? No, but I was a smart kid. I was very intelligent with a very high reading comprehension level. So I was reading very adult books when I should not have been reading adult books. And the librarian at our public library was like, she's smart, she can make her own decisions. And I was like, yeah. So I love Tanya. I hope she's doing well. But yeah. And then I also while I was out doing thrifty stuff, I nabbed a copy of the complete collection of all the Fievel movies.
How many are there? I'm only aware of 2.
4? There's
Good
4?
God.
Yeah.
So there's 2 good ones and 2 straight to DVD.
And one of the straight to DVD is not bad. The other one,
I was worried they'd gotten to Land Before Time.
So what are the next 2 called? Because it's American Tail, and it's Fievel Goes West, and then
hold on. I don't have my DVD next to me.
Fievel Goes to the Moon, Fievel 2, Electric Boogaloo.
No, give me a second. Hold on.
Probably Fievel Goes to Camp and then Fievel Down.
Okay, so it's an American Tail, Fievel Goes West, An American Tale, the Treasure of Manhattan Island, and then An American Tale, The Mystery of the Night Monster. So I have only watched the first 3. I have not watched the Night Monster one, but I remember
Scooby-Doo
survival, or did he get too old?
I
does
don't.
sound like Scooby-Doo.
But in any case, I do remember liking the Manhattan Island one because it had like more American history vibes, where there was Native American mice living underneath Manhattan. And
boy.
I just, as a kid, I was like, yeah, this makes sense. But you know, they're
that had to be like mid 90s, maybe.
oh yeah. So American Tail came out in, oh my god, 86. Wow.
Yeah, the first films were the 80s for sure.
Yeah.
But
Five
after
Goes
that-
West was actually 91.
Okay.
The Manhattan one was 98, and then the last one, the Night Monster one, was 99. So
oh wow, okay, those are later than I thought they'd be. There was a gap there.
Yes.
Somebody
So,
acquired a license and wanted to make an animation movie.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know any background on the fourth one, but I remember enjoying the third one. But once again, I was a kid. But I have all 4 of them now.
13 Land Before Times.
They're up to 13. That's never
Yes.
gonna end.
I should
About right.
I should get all of those just so I have them, because, well, as we will talk about
Rachel
later.
has some self-respect.
Remember, the first two will emotionally scar people.
Listen, as
Just talking about it.
as we will talk about later on the show, physical media. It's important to get your physical media.
Oh, we actually removed that because
We
it ended up being
Yes, it was misinterpreted.
So what she's talking about is there was a story of Sony laying off some people and stopping some of their physical media stuff. Turns out it was one of those really crappy taglines they put on there, and it's actually they're just ending like a particular type of like Blu-ray disc and other stuff
Yeah,
for
like
media.
Blu-ray R's and stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
Like,
Crisis
nobody's buying
averted.
those.
Crisis averted. Nobody
Yeah.
panic. All right. But still important to buy
It's
physical
still very
media.
important. I
Very
agree.
It's
important.
always important, especially when there's music involved. Yes.
Exactly. Oh, 100%.
That we will talk about a little bit later, but
Yes. But and then also I did some gaming. As you guys know, the Steam sale's going on.
Yep.
I didn't, but my wallet does not like the fact that you reminded me of that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jeremy's wallet, for insulting you.
Great games without us, Jeremy.
But I picked up a couple of games. So I picked up Islands of Insight, which is kind of there's an offline mode, but it's an MMO and it's puzzle. So think like Riven Mist, but
nice.
with people, more people in it. And then I got Chained Together and Content Warning.
I've watched all those. I really want to play Content Warning really bad.
So
yeah, we have it. We just haven't played it yet for some weird reason.
So Chained Together is very stressful.
It's
very.
Get over it with chained people together.
It's so stressful.
Oh,
the voice
that's
acting
the one
in
I
it,
keep seeing.
Yeah,
I was wondering what the hell that was.
The voice acting in it is actually really excellent, and there are some checkpoints, but they take a while to reach. So if you fall anywhere between, the ground and the first checkpoint, you have to start from the ground again. It's very hard with 4 people, especially when those 4 people have very different ways of playing games. So I will say that. Content Warning was kind of terrifying but fun. I watched somebody. Oh man. Oh, so if you're playing with 2 people, you have a camera, and if the person who has the camera is the one that gets attacked, you have to then recover the camera and get back to the dive bell to then go back up. And oh man, there's so many things that can kill you. And
yeah, I've seen amazing different things, and the fact that you can get a boom mic or a regular mic, and one of the achievements or things to get more money is to interview 20 monsters.
yes, I did see that.
Well, I was
thought
like,
that was
this
funny.
is incredible.
Because we got this one, I think, when they were giving it
Yeah,
away.
you have to hug each other if you want to heal.
Yeah.
There's a funny glitch right now that you don't have to go upstairs to go to sleep. You can just jump and you'll attach yourself to the ceiling to sleep.
I did not see that, but that is really funny.
That is hilarious to see because they all just T-pose on the ceiling when it's ready to go to bed.
When I was playing it the other night, we had gone down in the dive bell, and we didn't even get maybe 5 feet out of the door where Jesse went down the stairs, and he looked to the right and goes, "What is that?" And then I go, "What's what?" And then we see this fireball come, and it like diminishes itself, and then this like demon looking thing that its eyes are on fire comes up and then just explodes. The monster exploded. Jesse died. I got blown back, and so I ran back in the dive bell for a second and was like, okay, wait, and then I opened the door back up and kind of went forward a little bit, went around, saw some spooky stuff, and then came back.
There's one mode that Chris would love. It's basically to get more money. You have to film yourselves getting hurt, so you have to take a certain amount of damage on film.
Oh, wow.
So people were throwing each other into like these like moving gears that would propel them. They were wrestling with the snail people while the other one hugged them to keep them alive. It was hilarious to watch.
The snail people are actually the tamest of all the monsters in there.
They definitely are.
I saw one from a distance that was it was like a spider, but instead of a spider, it just had 4 legs, but they were really pointy and it was really tall, and it never came near us. It just kind of walked by, and we were like,
okay.
But
I think what you'd like, Jeremy, is when you after you make your viral video, you can actually save it as a real video file.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we've been playing Gears. That's why we haven't gotten to this yet.
Yeah.
And then of course I played more Lethal Company, which that was
another
fun.
one we need to get back into again.
I saw the new update where it has the kidnapping fox or kidnapping dog.
Oh
God.
God.
And then lastly, I picked up Sketchy's Contract, but I haven't played it yet, which is like Lethal Company, but there's more to do.
Yeah, I tried to look that up, and all I found was a guy holding a jar of pickles, and I was like, now I'm confused.
Yeah,
I'm not aware of that one.
It came recommended to me by a friend, another Discord server that I'm in, and was like, if you like Lethal Company and you have fun doing that, you should check this out because there's more to do. And I'm like, all right, cool, I'll bite. Right. And it was cheap, so can't really complain. So
cheap is good.
But that's it. That's enough for my monologue. What have you guys been up to?
Yeah, but say we're all trying to catch up, and Rachel's had the most time she's needed to get caught up on because you've been gone for a while.
Yes, I have.
But as soon as you come back, we're like, know what we've been doing.
Yes, I have been very busy. I'm very busy.
We'll be going from basically a book size to like the one she had to one note short story. Chris, what have you been doing?
Ever since it came out, I've been playing Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance. I am on my 5th new game.
Oh my God.
Over 100 hours. I have gotten 4 out of the 6 endings, and my demonic compendium is at around 92%. I'm almost finished.
I think you're further than Jeremy is. I think he's been playing Final Fantasy 14, so he actually hasn't been playing this as much. Like that is an impressive amount of focus.
Well, again, this only happens with games that I am obsessed over. The last one was Persona 5 Royal. Otherwise, I can step away. I can sleep for more than 4 hours. I can look at a clock and not see the sunrise behind me.
I'm literally just imagining Chris. Just literally, he's laying in his bed. 4 hours exactly passed. Eyes pop open, unbidden. There's no alarm. He just knows.
I'll know when Metaphor comes out if it's good if I don't see him for an entire weekend. But if he comes out midway through and he's just like, oh, it's not the same, I'll be like, okay.
Instead of a groundhog, like seeing its shadow, it's whether or not Chris comes out of his room.
That's how they predict their sales. Does Chris come up and see his shadow or not?
If he comes out to like cook food or get a snack, I'll know the game's not good. But if he comes out because his body says go to the bathroom, then he's like, all right, the game must be good.
Chris single-handedly funding the entire success of the Shin Megami Tensei and Persona series just by himself.
Hey,
If
look,
they-
if Metaphor ends up good, then yeah, I'll see you guys in, I don't know, November, December, something like that.
It's like,
God help
where's
your
Chris?
financials
Yes.
if they ever pulled that thing where you have to pay to do New Game Plus every time.
They need to have that in every game forever.
No,
Pay for it, so nobody does that garbage.
Stevenson
I don't-
was just like having fun with games.
I don't like New Game Plus either, so I'm with you on that, Steven.
Well, it's a good show.
Let's read the same book, but now let's do it upside down.
Listen,
different
there's
shit.
nothing
It's not
wrong with
just
reading a book
that.
twice, okay?
Reading it upside down to get a different experience.
But upside down won't do it.
Well,
Technically,
you got to
reading a
choose
book
your
a
own
second
adventure
time.
books. You know, what if you actually bit into the cactus that time?
Yeah.
You have to know.
Cactus
Plus, you get
juice.
to, if you reread a book, you can experience how some of the things are because you know how it's going to go and it changes it. But it's like
See,
certain
but-
movies. Like, what
But
was it?
really
The,
quick, Chris, what
Last
what
Onion?
you just said doesn't exist in New Game Plus games. There usually isn't a substantial reason to do New Game Plus.
There are two separate stories in Shin Megami 5 Vengeance. There's the canon of creation and the canon of vengeance.
Okay, so you have one extra. You have one reason to do New Game Plus, and that's
And
it.
each one has a separate, different ending and route.
Also, YouTube the other 4. Okay.
No, then the compendium won't be full.
Oh no!
Oh no, indeed!
Atlas will contact me and be like, "You didn't do 6% of it."
Exactly, and then I'll never wake up again. You'll hear a crunch as they actually snap my neck
Just
because
let the
I've
man
broken
enjoy
the
his
demonic
stuff.
contract,
Ah.
and that'll be it for me.
That'd be pretty cool, actually.
I
Oh,
bet.
Lord.
You have my permission. If you hear the crack, you can film my dead body.
I will. It's gonna be content warning IRL.
So, Steven, what have you been doing?
I've not been playing SMT5 Vengeance. I have it. and It's gonna sit in
Don't
my
worry, Chris is
collection
doing it enough for
probably months at a time. Anyway,
I'll play your copy. It's
no.
fine.
you. He'll play him at the same time. He's got 2 hands.
On the video game side, Chris and I got to try out TMNT Wrath of the Mutants Arcade, which I don't know if this is just a thing with 3D turtle beat 'em ups, but why is it so damn noisy and they talk so much? They won't shut up of everything they're doing, and it got to the point where even Michelangelo sounds racist because he's just throwing out kung fu sounds that sound wrong.
Oh, wow.
There was interesting parts where you can like summon characters from TMNT lore, and I was like, okay, this
Like
is neat.
super moves kind of thing.
I won't spoil anything, but Chris got peeved at a part because he's just like, that person's not in the series, but they used them anyway, and it was awesome. I like it that at least the voice actors all return, so I was like, I'm good. But it's interesting because it's an arcade game by Raw Thrills. You don't play through a storyline. You just play a stage, get a score, game over. Play a stage, get a score, game over. And once you're done with all the stages, that's it. There's no storyline to go through.
I
Like
thought
you
it
did in
felt
all the
pretty
other
bare
ones.
bones, but that's just me.
So yeah.
So
It's
you get to keep trying it again, like a new game plus, and every new experience is new.
No, imagine Cruising USA was a beat 'em up.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
Wow.
like the old timey kind of arcade games where
Yeah.
you're just playing to get a high score. That's
Yeah.
it.
oh yeah.
We then dove into Double Dragon Rise of the Dragon survival mode because they had the new update that had the survival mode, the online mode, which they
still haven't
immediately
done
yelled
the
at us
online
saying the
mode.
servers were down.
I'm waiting.
And we found out that all the new characters you had to unlock, so it was good we did survival mode. But we got pretty far before the game was just like, forget it, you're not making it past this one. And just threw every boss at us at once.
Multiple bosses and multiple iterations of
Yeah,
the
so we
same
got
boss.
we had to fight like 4 or 5 bosses all at the same time. And then every single day, because I'm a slave to their passion, I've been playing Multiverses to do my missions. There was at least once or twice, but this one was particularly bad, is sometimes they get a little greedy with their missions. And the other day they were like, oh, do this mission, but you have to do it with this character with a special skin. The problem is that skin wasn't even available for purchase. So it was basically just locked. You couldn't get the mission. And then they said, oops, they added it in, but it's like $20 if you wanted to buy that skin to do the one mission. And I was like, no, thank you. I'll just keep doing my day-by-day play. But it's still addicting for what I get to do. I still think the game's very well put together. And then on the non-gaming side, I needed to catch up to it, so I went back, started Boys Season 2, watched all of that, and then watched all of Season 3. And then I was told to watch Gen V before Season 4. Gen V started out incredibly boring, so I was just like, does it get better? So I looked up a Wikipedia, looked up all the episodes, found out what was going to happen, and then I was like, okay, that sounds good. I'm going to go back and watch it.
I would still say watch all of it, because
I did watch all of it, but I only watched all of it once I read the Wikipedia, because I was just like, is this going to get better, or is it just going to be, Buffy the Vampire Slayer with superpowers? So I was like, okay.
Okay.
That's kind of a weird way to watch stuff, though, because you just...
Did you how far? Wait, did you watch all of Gen V?
I watched all of Gen V, all 8 episodes.
So you saw the scene.
Yeah.
There's all of Gen V you need to watch, and there's at least 2 episodes of Diabolical you need to watch before you watch any of Season 4.
I read the whole article about that, and they just said it's not a big enough deal to watch it, and I was like, I don't want to.
It's 2 shorts, but they're part of the history and the story of the characters. They're actually,
because some of them they said if you really wanted to know, you had to watch all these Twitter movies too, and I was just like, those
are just like the little commercials and spoofs they put out, but like these are actually part of the story. Like it explains backgrounds on some of them.
But I will say, if you like seeing male genitalia and hairy buttholes, then Boys is the show for you.
I will say, Stephen, there is a scene in Season 4 that will have you looking at Rob Benedict a whole different kind of way. Jeremy already knows what I'm talking about.
Like I just remember before I started Season 3, I was just like, they talked about a scene that they were like, "Oh boy, wait till you see this one," and I was like, "Whoa!"
So the
that's
name,
how this series is. Just know that ahead of time.
But the name for that scene that you will see had a name before it even came out, because somebody said, "Oh yeah, there's a scene in this upcoming thing," and they were telling me about it, and all I can say is this. And
when I was watching certain scenes, the only thing I could think of was somebody had to go in with CGI and make something this close up, and then do CGI for the inside, and I'm like, wow. I hope he got paid.
Yeah, hey, I know people who do that kind of art professionally, but anyway.
But it's still enjoyable, because they always like kind of end with something that you're like, man, I need to watch the next episode. Man, I need to watch the next episode. So I had to stop myself a few times because I actually had to sleep.
That's a very silly and bad thing to do.
Nice. All right, Chase, what have you been up to
for the week?
Monday through Friday, and for actual weaklings.
Yeah, we finished the Gears 5 main storyline. So we finished technically the main storyline for the Gears series, which is awesome in its own right. We're playing through the Hive Busters side story right now.
Yep. It's the last one we've got.
Yep. And then looking forward to what we decide to do for our next co-op adventure. Before last few weeks, I've been playing a game called Wolong Fallen Dynasty. I decided to give it a try because I've heard some people talk about it and say some decent things. So I'm not really a Soulsborne guy. I've just never quite clicked with the gameplay, and gave it a try. It's actually pretty good. And I don't know if that's just because I could actually kind of get into the story because of the setting, but I was quite pleased with it. I'm actually thinking about buying it now properly, like physically, to get, and then getting the DLC for it to continue it. I'm still doing Gloomhaven on Wednesdays. We've gotten probably not quite a quarter of the way through it. So really, it's a long series, but it's fun. It's good.
What kind of game is it? I've heard of it, but I'm not familiar with it.
So it's basic. I mean, the best way to describe it is it's kind of D&D, but with a but like in a kind of a board game format. So you've got like map tiles that you actually make the map that's in like a scenario book, and
Mhm.
you do so you do missions, and then those missions can lead you off into like branching paths. So like for instance, we did one where we helped this merchant with getting rid of this camp
Mhm.
of people that she said were bad people. And then we kind of all of a sudden started to figure out, oh, maybe this person's a little bit dodgy. And so we had this branching path of, oh, we could either keep helping them and just like, morals go out the window, or we could
Mhm.
actually be like, no, we're not going to help you anymore, actually. So you could have, and it kind of like RPG game, you can have multiple storylines going off at the same time. So yeah, like we've got our main storyline, we've got this storyline with the merchant, and I think there's a couple more that are working their way up as well. So it's pretty fun. The other thing that I like about it too is you actually, so you have this personal objective that you're trying to work towards that but nobody else knows, and you and once you complete that objective, you actually retire your character, and then you get to play as a new character, which is kind of cool. So it keeps things interesting.
That is kind of cool.
Nice.
But also kind of sad for people that get attached to characters. That's why I only have one
Yeah.
character that I'm playing in a Monster of the Week thing. So
That's why you do Descendants.
no.
Yeah. All right. So for me, we talked about Gears of War 5, and we finally have finished that series and playing into Hive Busters. On the plus side of it, though, I picked up today, I found a figure of JD to to have with it that we're showing with another Lancer. So now I have him, and I have the original Gears 1 Marcus Phoenix. And then I do have the Marcus and Dom when they're in the suit from the kind of like the cut chapter where they were trying to sneak around. So they're actually in the enemy's like red armor, which was cool.
Oh, the Theron suit.
Yeah, the Theron armors. I still have a goal. I'm trying to find the life-size Lancer. I'm either going to print one or I want to find the one I tried to get. It will be mine, damn it. And then I had recently, I don't know if I talked about this in the last show, here's the helmet for the statue I had purchased from First Four Figures, which sadly arrived broken. The arm was snapped off, and they were very good about working with me to replace it. But I had to do the weirdest thing in a while, that they made me film me smashing it with a hammer. Which sounds weird. It makes sense because they wanted proof that it was my photos.
Yeah, makes sense.
Sending it to them with the card and all that stuff, which is great. And then filming it unedited, showing the date, my card, and then smashing it. And they already sent me a new one. Like, it's an absolutely fantastic statue. I'm still super happy with it. But I did kind of on purpose hit her around where the chest was to pop the head off so the helmet would stay in one piece. But I plan on taking the broken parts, and I'm going to do a perler bead version of Samus from Super Metroid when she's dying, because she kind of curls up before the suit explodes. And then taking that and then molding the broken parts of the suit like it's exploding out from her and attaching lights and things to it so it'll look like the death scene of that.
Whatnot.
Well, they told me I could throw it away, so I'm going to do something cool with it. So it is a great statue, though. I was going to put it with my life-size Samus helmet in my room, and I set it up in the game room in front of the TV. And I was like, okay, no, this thing looks amazing. It's going to stay right here. Like, I don't want to move it now.
Nice.
Yeah. But the funnier part of this is I've now received it twice, and Steven is still waiting for his to arrive once.
Yeah, they haven't
That's
collected the
weird.
final payment yet, so it says quarter 3 for me.
Oh, okay. Because I remember, I think part of what we think it is you ordered it later. I ordered it like the day they announced it. I was like,
I also
"Nah, I'm in."
only do their payment plans because I'm like, I don't have the capability of dropping that all at once.
This one wasn't as bad, and I also had a bunch of points from buying the Samus helmet, which took off a big chunk of it also, so that made it easier. But either
This
way,
is like my 6th or 7th, maybe 8th statue from them, so they've led me a lot.
this is like my 3rd or 4th. The other one I have I need to display is the Luigi's Mansion 3 one, which also lights up and has the
I
ghost
sold my
dog and
originals,
stuff.
which were the old Metroid Prime suits.
Yeah, I want some of those, but they are so expensive, especially the gunship. Oh my god, I'm not even bothering with that. But speaking of Luigi's Mansion, I've been playing Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, which we've already bought 3 copies in this house. I think Jeremy might be getting one, so that'll be 4. So if that tells you anything, yes, it's fun. I wish they had fixed the controls. I mean, they're better than they were because you can use the right stick and everything to move around, but it still feels a little awkward. Probably could have tweaked that a little bit or given us some more options. The game looks and runs great. I mean, take into account this was a 3DS game. We're not expecting, this huge thing. Like everything is higher polygon. It looks better. The lighting's better. The textures are better. It sounds great. It's still fun, but it was a 3DS game, so it's designed around short sections and playing through little bits, and then you go out and it saves and you come back. So there's no like checkpoint system or anything with it because there wasn't before. You would either finish a mission or you would just put the Switch, put the 3DS to sleep at the time, and then come back later, which you could still technically do with the Switch. You could just turn it off, put it to sleep and come back. But I want to mess with the scare scraper some more. I got to play a little bit further to get to where that unlocks, but I'd like to give that a shot. Did any of you guys get Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, or is it just me, Steven? I'm pretty much
I
assuming
unlocked
you're
the
going
scare
to.
scraper on the 3DS version. I remember.
Oh well, we can't play that anymore though. We can't do online on it anymore. Damn it! Are you gonna get the Switch one?
Yeah, I did a before my membership that went sour for Best Buy expired. I did one of them where they gave me a $50 certificate for buying a certain amount of games. So I was like, okay, I'll take that and I'll probably get Luigi's Mansion with it.
Nice. I'm liking it. It's a lot of fun, so I still recommend it. The other one I picked up that I completely forgot I had pre-ordered is Super Monkey Ball, the new one that just came out.
I just saw that advertised today.
So it is one of the best Monkey Balls I've played in a while, and one with the most annoying videos and like cutscenes that I have to skip because they do this very annoying thing that happens in a lot of games where a character will be talking, and we're talking, like Animal Crossing style or something, where it's gibberish. But imagine if it was that gibberish, but it was one sound repeated over and over again at high speed for each character. And it's so the one that keeps talking is the most grating. Her voice annoys me.
Is there any way to turn that off?
I just skip it. I've skipped every story. I'm like, I don't care. I mean, just roll a monkey in a ball. It's been great. It's been fun.
But the lore.
I don't care about the lore.
Jeremy, shame on you.
The lore.
I don't care how the monkey
Shame
got
on
in the
you,
ball.
Jeremy.
Just let me roll the monkey in the ball.
The lore.
The lore. Oh,
the
Lord.
lore. We need to know how Kiryu and the guy from Jet Set Radio got in the balls and stuff.
I haven't unlocked any other characters yet, but
those are part of a season pass, so I don't think you can unlock them.
But it does feel like a lot of the older Monkey Balls. Like it's a lot of fun to play. It's controlling great. I've mostly been playing it with a Pro Controller, so I haven't really tried it too much on the go. But I'm liking it. I've already found some shortcuts and kind of working through stuff. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Sadly, the multiplayer doesn't seem as robust as the old ones. So those are still better to go back for playing multiplayer. But if you just want to play it and enjoy it, it's definitely worthwhile to pick up. Early versions even come with a fun little art book that I like.
Yeah, one website, Video Games Plus, plug, was giving away the previous game for free if you pre-ordered the new game.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Which I already had because Walmart was selling them for $5 a pop.
I picked that one up new when it came out, and I was like, it's not horrible, but it was not what I expected.
Yeah.
So going from games to TV shows, I have been watching Star Wars The Acolyte, which we will talk about that more a little bit later with one of the topics, but I'm just going to say I've been really enjoying it. And people just need to calm down. It's a murder mystery type game. It's going to be a slow burn. Don't expect it to be like you start the movie and you immediately supposed to know all the answers. Or start the series and immediately know all the answers. That's not how it works ever.
But they need to, Jeremy.
I mean, how boring would it be, Rachel, if you tried to start one of your games and you just knew the answer at the very beginning? You're just like, well, why do I fight with the rest of it?
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
And okay, that can be done well. I've seen that happen, and then you explain the rest of it, like Memento, but that's a rare case.
Or God of War.
Good point. That's another good one. And of course, you know, as we said earlier, I finished Gen V, which I watched that over a 2-night period, and whew, that's got some rough scenes. Oh man, that's something's wrong with this writing team.
So just so you know, so when I watched some of this, I haven't watched all of any of it. I just was watching a few things and whatever, and my friend was like, "Watch this scene." Or watch this thing, and I said, "Oh, hey, I know that guy. He was God in Supernatural."
Yeah.
Fast forward however long, and I was like,
when he pees.
and then I literally was like, "Oh, Alex, poor baby." He was not a nice man in that, though. No,
there's a lot of supernatural connections with the boys because they've got
trust
a lot
me,
of the same
I know Eric Kripke, yeah,
Yep.
and supposedly, he and Jared Padalecki met recently, and they've already got a part narrowed down for him in the next season. So I'm sitting here like, there's only one more person you have to get now. Please get him and have him play a villain.
Or at least somebody. Just have him in
or
there
at least
somewhere.
somebody. He wants to, I think, maybe. Or maybe he doesn't, because he
Let
doesn't
him not explode or partially explode or have something terrible happen to him. Like
I don't
happens
know.
to everybody else.
I can't even fathom what he wants, but the only reason I could think for him not to is something having to do with his children, which is a good reason for any actor not to do something. So
this is not a show you share work with your
please
kids.
do not. Consumers should not let their kids watch it.
This is a hard 18 plus for everybody watching.
Well
earned.
Some episodes actually have to give you additional warnings.
I will say probably at least 50% of the viewer base are just Supernatural fans. They're there for they're there for Kripke. They're there for whoever else shows up. They've been there since Jensen Ackles broke the Prime Video app. So,
oh God.
Yeah, that was a funny night.
So I also finished watching Diabolical, or The Boys Diabolical, which was the short animated series, which a lot of them are silly. They're meant to be spoofs on things like Baby's Day Out, which is this little baby that can shoot lasers and like the horrific stuff that happens. That one's funny, but not really canon. But there are 2 particular episodes that cover like Homelander's very first mission, like his first unveiling, that ties in with some stuff, which is nice. I think there's one other episode. I'm trying to remember what it covered, but basically it's like a lot of it's the history type things or how certain relationships are. Everything else is just really funny. Like there's the guys that did Rick and Morty that did an episode.
Interesting.
Okay, I'm out.
Well, they have guest animators for stuff. I mean, it happens. This was years ago when it came out. So, I don't know. It's pretty funny, but... All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the news. So, speaking of out, Herschel Guy Beam, I guess that's how you pronounce his name. I don't give a shit. AKA, as some a-holes know him as Dr. Disrespect, because a guy that spends his entire time acting like an asshole to people, about people, and so forth, surprisingly, is actually a monstrous asshole. He has admitted that he was sending inappropriate, that's how he worded it, messages to a minor, which is what led to his lifetime ban with Twitch a couple of years ago. And it was also came out and shown that he did know about her age. This isn't like some people were trying to blame her for this and say, oh, she must have lied about her age. No, he knew what it was, still continued. And they were even trying to plan meeting up with the victim over at the then upcoming TwitchCon. And we've had other people that have argued that because it never went any further than that, it shouldn't matter. And I will say it right now, the fuck it does matter a lot. He got caught before going further. What would he have done if he hadn't been caught? What the hell? So Midnight Society, the company that he co-founded, cut ties with him shortly after the information came to light, with Robert Bowling, their CEO, eventually tweeting out, and I loved how he put this, "This is a statement from me personally. It does not reflect any of my companies and has not gone through any legal or PR approvals. But if you inappropriately message a minor, I cannot work with you. Period. I promised to only act on facts, and I did.
That's actually,
yeah.
that's, for that not going through legal or PR approvals, that is actually perfect.
Yeah, very succinct.
That is very succinct. It's
Straight
very
and to the
honest.
point. Yep.
It's not mudslinging. It's just to the point, no questions.
This is what we did, and this is why we did it.
And that's
Yep.
exactly how legal and PR would want it done. So,
And
good
the
for him.
company themselves even came out and said that we heard about what happened, and we assumed innocence to begin with, because you're innocent until proven guilty. And they looked into it and decided, no, we're done. We're cutting ties. And in the most ironic way ever, it was actually recorded when he got the message finding out what happened. And he was playing the Elden Ring DLC, and he had just beat a boss, and he's sitting there celebrating about it. He gets a message and reads it. And while he's doing that, this really depressing, like moody Elden Ring music just starts playing, like you're getting defeated or something's happened. And you can see his face just like drain as he realizes what's going on. And he tries to stumble his way out of it and say he stopped streaming for the day. And it's like, that could not have been planned if somebody wrote that.
Mm-hmm.
But other stuff, like he's, as he should, having a whole fallout here of like the San Francisco 49ers have cut all ties with him. Turtle Beach has cut off all of their promotional stuff. They've discontinued his headset. Any links that used to go to anything related to him just goes to the homepage, and he's completely cut out now. Go ahead, Chase.
Yeah. So I worked in, just prefaces by saying, like, I don't actually watch his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Worked in corrections for 8 years, so I've definitely seen my fair share of people.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that, the only thing I'll say is that I just kind of hope that what the allegations are actually true. That's all I hope.
He admitted it.
Yeah, but he said that, and I know it's only his side of the story, but he just said that there was things said that were leaning towards inappropriate, but nothing illegal actually transpired.
That's the thing, though. He also
And
admitted later, and it came out in the messages, he knew that she was a minor and continued. So
no,
at that point, it doesn't matter.
so he, but yeah, I just hope that the allegations were completely true, because the other part of the two was that when he found out why he got banned from Twitch, he said, I'm going to sue the fuck out of Twitch. And he did. And then he got paid out for his contract. So obviously...
So he did not win that. They settled, and they were like, look, we'll just give you the money for the contract. Get off our platform. Don't come back. He did not win a legal argument. They just settled in that regard because...
Well, they capitulated.
They capitulated, but they also have a minor that did not want to be identified. They had other stuff going on, and they probably figured, we just pay this, get out, and you're banned for life, which already had a lot of stuff going on. And as more and more of this is coming out, like it's not like a he said, she said. He admitted to this stuff.
So the fact of the matter is, and this is
Mhm.
something that I have talked about before, and I encourage anybody who is a content creator. People will find out. Don't do things that are stupid or bad. Like, use common sense. Just because you make a lot of money and you have some level of fame does not mean that you will not that you won't get caught doing something. You will eventually. So just be a good person. It's not that hard. It really isn't.
I mean, for a lot of the stuff, like YouTube is also now suspended where he can no longer monetize this stuff. And so far, the only place that's allowing him to continue streaming that's invited him over is Kick, which is not a good sign because they've already had a lot of issues in regards to people pulling this stuff and then going over there. And they're like, sure, stream. So maybe not go there. Like, I'm not going to be streaming there for sure. But this whole situation, part of why I wanted to bring it up, also ended up like one of the people that used to as you helped start the show with me originally, very much was backing a lot of the stuff he was into over the years and molding a lot of the stuff he was doing. And when all this stuff was coming out and he got fired from the company and all that, they were backing him up on it regardless. And then when he actually admitted to what was going on, he doubled down. And I made the call. He's the first and only person I've actually banned from the Discord. And, you know, pushing a lot of the stuff because it was being told of cancel culture and all that. And I said, no, this is consequences. You did this, you know, they did this in this regards. That's the consequences of what they dealt with. And it's a community that I don't want that being like a prevalent thing in. So I made that call. But this whole thing is just an absolute mess. But once again, somebody acting like a dick. Surprise is a dick. Steven, go ahead.
The worst thing is how it affects other people, because I watched like Tim the Tatman react to it, who said like this never came or even had any hints of it and he's played with them for 8 to 12 years. And he's like, this, you know, and you could tell in his voice that he was severely disappointed. And then you have, which is why you don't do this, people, but then you have the game companies that decided to digitize these content creators in the game, and now NBA 2K4 is like 2K24 is like we got to remove him now, and rework that part of the game. So I was
Nick
just
Merckx,
like, you know, what was that?
Nick Merckx did the same thing. Nick Merckx played with them for like ages. Him and Tim the Tatman, they were all kind of part of like a group, and Nick Merckx was like, "Yeah, I'm done." Like,
Nick Merckx got banned as well for some of the stuff because he's also coming out and saying a bunch of crap, and they're like, "That's another
So that just
guy
means
that's
he's
been
on
banned
kick
now."
as well. So
Probably.
but
But he
yeah,
was
I don't
saying
know.
stuff
I don't know much about the controversy behind him. But I also know that Nick Merckx is a pretty strong personality, and I don't think he can. I don't think certain people, like certain groups of people, like him. So,
but yeah, it's got to be a gut punch when somebody you work with closely for years suddenly just, you know, the curtain is lifted, so to speak.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy decision on my end in regards to, you know, this person that I've known for a long time, but it had to be done at that point because it was just, if you're continuing down that road, not looking at it going, okay, this is really bad, we shouldn't be doing this, but doubling down and like, no, I'm going to back you anyways. And I'm like, no. So
on the lighter side, people making fun of him, some of the jokes were really good.
Yeah, my favorite's been the fact that a lot of people refer to him now as Dr. Disrespect the Age of Consent.
Oh, the one I liked is is that he appeared with the NFL because he thought they said San Francisco 40 minors.
It's the other one I've heard. Yeah, it's
if it does that to Chris, it's a good joke.
It's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
I saw one earlier
I'll just
today.
say for a moment real quick. Sorry to interrupt. I just want to point out that I'm obviously not defending the guy like in the slightest.
I know.
It's more of a sense of like there's sometimes where like these things get thrown out by somebody like years after they happen, and then like this person's immediately guilty in the court of public opinion. And
this one though,
it's just a dangerous slope.
It's a dangerous slope, but in our own personal life, we've had to go through and deal with a situation where the person was not caught after this stuff was going on, and it did go to where it was extended to, and that ruined a lot of people's lives.
Yeah,
and that guy is now in prison now, and may he rot in hell.
Fair enough. Like I'm not.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're doing that at all. I'm just with this guy. The accusation is made, you know, however it was with him and Twitch on the legal side of it, you're also got to take into account there was a minor involved, and they probably didn't want that publicly known because how would that look if they're having to do this stuff? And sometimes you just pay them to go away. You fight with it and go, and it's a whole mess. I'm not going to sit here and argue was it legal or not because I don't think it should have been anyways, especially as soon as he knew it was a minor and you continued. No,
fair enough. I don't agree with it, just period, end of story. But I also just, like I said, it's just one of those things where I just try to, Yeah, it's like you said, innocent until proven guilty, and he's come out and admitted that, like, yeah, there was some inappropriate stuff said and blah blah blah. And it's just one of those things where I hope this guy didn't just throw this stuff out there. Some ex Twitch employee that's just like, oh yeah, he got
He
banned
didn't
for
throw
doing
it out
this.
there. They just finally showed the stuff that was going on, and it was enough that,
But did they actually show anything? They actually show like evidence.
Do they have to when he actually admitted it?
Well, after the fact.
So if they made the accusation, you don't admit to it, you would fight it. But if someone comes out and says you did something and you admit, yes, I did this, you don't need to read the transcript. The guy just admitted to it. Like, it's already bad enough just with that much. And it's been enough that other people have seen it, that his company cut ties with him. The CEO had a pretty substantial comment about that. All these other people are cutting ties with it as they're seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't lose like all of your sponsors like that unless something wrong obviously happened or something that was treading dangerous waters happened.
Right. And I mean, he was pretty popular on Twitch, so for them to find enough evidence to ban him for life like that, you don't just do that without a reason,
You gotta remember, on Twitch, people like have live sex and they're only banned for 3 days. So.
Yeah.
That's weird. So, all right, let's move on to something that's weirdly not as depressing, but still weird.
Uh-oh.
Let's talk about fandoms.
Here we go.
Oh,
toxicity.
yeah. So this is a discussion I wanted us to have, and that's why I was kind of glad this is a shorter episode so we can feed into this one. But Star Wars fans, and I'm air quoting the hell out of that. If you guys would like to join me as I say fans and air quote, that's fine. They are holding a funeral for the Star Wars series on Wednesday, July 17th. And there's people like Chris Gore is one of the internet personalities that's running this, who's pushing the event because they believe that Star Wars is pushing agendas or not going the way they think it should, or going woke, as some of them will say it, or they're pushing, the LGBTQ stuff or for everything like that. And it's just really kind of messed up how it's been. Like, I've been watching The Acolyte. I really like it. I thought it's supposed to be like a murder mystery. It's a slow burn at first, and you're seeing more lore from Star Wars pop up, and you've got, the witches, as they refer to themselves, that are doing stuff with the twins, creating life and doing all this other stuff. Guys, this is not new to Star Wars. It has been around. Like, I found a book last night cleaning around the house from the Ewoks movie that I had since I was a little kid. I have the book, and right on the cover, it has a witch in Star Wars. Have you guys just forgotten? Like, you may not like it, but it's been there. Nothing's new.
I find that, especially with like big, like big name fandoms and stuff like that, the thing that says it's like big, all these people are just movie fandoms. They don't know anything about the books. They really don't. Most of the people saying this, I don't think they know a dang thing about the books. I really don't. I think it's the original. They're the people that are just fans of the original trilogy or the first 6 ones,
right?
And then anything after that, they don't want to hear anything about. They don't care. Like, it's not Star Wars to them. And people are entitled to their opinions, even if they are wrong.
It's because it's gotten to the point, and like I already think this whole funeral for Star Wars thing is stupid. And honestly, if you're gonna end watching Star Wars, and this is how you want to be, cool. The rest of us can continue to enjoy it and share it and do what we enjoy. But you don't have to like everything.
What's the significance of July 17th?
I have no idea.
Nothing.
It's just a day they picked. Maybe
it's not the last episode or anything.
And whatever works best for them, I guess.
Yeah, I don't even think it coincides with the sale from to Disney or anything, because that's what they're saying is the day it died.
I will say, I liked The Mandalorian.
Yeah, like I said,
I'm not a big Star Wars fan, to be honest with you.
Let's look at it this way. Like, the series you love so much, we were just talking about earlier, and I just blanked on it all of a sudden. Supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
You love Supernatural, and that is an understatement. Dear
Mhm.
God, I question you sometimes.
All of those people who
but
watch Supernatural are like this, just so
there
you
are
know.
episodes you don't like.
Yes.
And you don't sit there and go, well, this whole show is ruined because these episodes are so bad. We should celebrate the death of this series the day those episodes came out. You just went, I didn't like that one. Moving on to the
Listen,
rest of it.
I think people forget, like, early to mid 2000s, right?
Mhm.
TV was a very different place around then. There's lots of different writers. Every season had like a team of different writers, and this is on all shows, across every shows. And I don't think people realize that really hasn't changed too much now, except now seasons are shorter because nobody has money, not even production companies, like, just so everyone understands that. That hasn't changed much. So you're gonna get some stuff that you don't like. Like, there is no TV series out there that is completely 100% perfect, with all good episodes all the time. There isn't. I have not discovered one yet. There's
never going to be one, because even
there's
in
shows that come
variations of it,
close, really, really close,
Mhm.
but there's always going to be fault in something, because fault is actually a matter of opinion. So everybody's opinion on whether something's good or bad is different.
Yeah. I mean, because a lot of this, it's been kind of funny. Like the fifth episode of The Acolyte came out, and it's an absolutely phenomenal episode. The fighting in there is some of the best they've ever done. Like, all this stuff comes to a head that's going on, and they're just like, well, I guess it was okay, but it's part of this. We just need to throw the whole thing out. And it's like, you want to complain about Star Wars, but I don't think you're capable of enjoying it anymore, because, like you said, they only want those particular 3 movies or that one cartoon series they watched. And a lot of this stuff, especially Star Wars being one of the largest ones, is a whole universe of things. It's just so many different sides of it, from kids shows to movies. And I just knocked over a bottle.
As someone who exists a lot in fandom spaces, I will say that there are very few fandoms out there that have a dedicated space or a dedicated, I guess, faction where you can have actual, like, educated discourse about stuff. Star Wars has little sections of that, but it's primarily the fans that were also fans of the books. So it's the overall fans that that will consume everything from it just because it's Star Wars and will enjoy it regardless.
Right.
So the people that are having these arguments, they're not part of the intellectual faction, I'll tell you that. There might be a few, but
I think part of it comes down to, we have a disconnect on actual, like, intellectual criticism versus just outright, I guess, hateful fandom is what it's come down to for a lot of things.
Most sections of fandom, regardless of what fandom you're in, is hateful. A lot of it is, and it's because of how internet spaces operate. Hate and negativity get more likes, get more clicks, get more views.
Yeah.
So that's a perpetuating kind of thing that just continues to go. So
Go ahead, Stephen.
So a few thoughts I have is, one, I haven't watched the show yet because being
not
in
trying
a
to
murder
spoil it.
mystery, the wife will refuse to watch it until all the episodes have been released, because she does not want to wait a week to watch the next episode.
How did she survive when we didn't have streaming services and all of that?
No, well, that you had no other choice. But now she's like, I don't want to watch House of the Dragon until every episode's out and they're done for the season.
Well,
and I'm like, fair enough. Stuff like that.
I understand, but that's sad.
You know, and this is personally because, like, she's the bigger Star Wars fan than me.
Yeah.
We found a commonality with one of the shows, which is going to be some controversial for some people listening or watching this. And it was that Andor was absolutely horrible, and it was just a confusing mess and didn't do anything for Star Wars, I feel, except for Andy Serkis was pretty cool. and now the second one's gonna inject fan service to revive it. That's my opinion on the Andor series. But
I can see that. That's
and then,
actually a pretty common
and then I
thing.
just kept reading
I've
that
heard nothing but good
people,
things about Andor, but
while there was fans of the Acolyte, Jeremy included, there was other people that said it didn't get good until the 4th episode. So I was like, okay, maybe it's like Community where it just gets good later.
well,
That's
once again, this goes
fine.
back to when you have a murder mystery, you're going to have a slow burn and start that. You don't just start off with everything going 100 miles an hour. That there has to be a buildup of these things. It's not just immediately.
I will say in older TV terms, that's pretty standard where things don't start really picking up until the 4th episode. But with shorter seasons,
Well,
I can see where people might get annoyed with that.
And that's fine because they might, their build up to something big. You know, people might not like that journey. They want to see something big now.
But
it's
they were
having
very clear.
some
That's
sort
like
of
going to.
satisfaction right away. But
I mean, if you're going to watch a murder mystery and figure out what's going to happen, you have that buildup of that happening, and then the twist and everything going on.
yeah, but that's not how they're marketing it. They're just saying, "Do you want to see Jedi and Sith fight?" They're not saying, "Come see the murder mystery in the Star Wars universe." So they never posed it as that. That's just how
But
it's playing out.
To put
for me.
this in something that I know you're into, that would preclude Snatcher also being bad because it is slow to start until you get to the twist, and then it goes from there and gets action packed. So,
Well, I like the characters throughout. So
right, well, that's doing a lot of the stuff here, but being that type of game or that kind of series, they were very clear about that. It's just kind of, it seems like a weird requirement on there going like, well, this murder mystery isn't a Jason Bourne movie. Why isn't it immediately starting off with fights and all this other stuff? That's not what it was. And I get the part for Andor, like I need to finish it, but it's meant to be a much slower, more subdued series, which a lot of people, it doesn't always click with. And I get that. I'm not saying everything has to be great. And I need to finish it. I don't know the whole thing. Please don't spoil it. But it's
Darth
just,
Vader turns out to be
son
Luke's
of
father.
I don't know. A lot of the stuff going on, I think, is groups wanting to be
And,
mad at stuff because they want to, other people are saying be mad at it. So they're following along with it.
But what I don't understand is,
Mhm.
it's like, who cares? Because we live in a society. We live in a world where X is now driven by engagement. So it's either rage engagement or it's dogpiling. So maybe some people need to clear their cache or cache so their algorithm doesn't feed them vitriol like this, because I don't usually see this unless I dare go into the trending subjects. And I stay away
Right.
from a lot of the trending subjects because those can be some dark, deep holes. So I only usually see what Star Wars is actually reposting, which are people talking about it's Acolyte Day and getting all excited. So I'm kind of seeing the lighter side of it.
Right.
Because if people want to be in their echo chamber and have their conspiracies or what have you, that's fine. And if there's things that people have an intellectual reason for hating it, much like my brother, who's a huge Star Trek fan, one of the series he absolutely hated because they were like destroying anything that was canon and just like ignoring it. And he's just like, nope. And he went to the other series, which he thought were incredible. I'll have to ask him which one it was again, but
I'm
he had
hoping it's not Discovery because a lot of people made that accusation and they're like, yeah, it actually fit in really well once you gave it the time to go through the storyline.
because he did, because how it began and with, I guess, with certain characters or species, he was just like, that's not how it's done. And I was like, he's been around since the beginning and he's watched them all, and this was the only one he didn't like. He
And I still
liked
find
all
that
the
funny.
rest of
Like
them.
the first Star
So-
Trek movie changed completely how Klingons were,
So,
but everyone was
you
like,
know,
that's great.
So there's got to be there's going to be bad Star Wars. There's going to
Yeah.
be bad Star Trek. There's no such thing as bad Nintendo, but
And I think if there's anything in saying it's bad is going to be by a individual's view, not a group view, because so far the bit of Andor I've liked, I've enjoyed. You didn't. That doesn't mean one is right or one is wrong. It's just we don't both enjoy it. That's different. But saying a whole show is bad kind of precludes that. And I used to have this view on some stuff. I was a stupid kid. Like, I remember when Beast Wars came out for Transformers, the whole argument of that they can't be animals. This is stupid. Why are they ruining Transformers? But it ended up being my brother's favorite one. And I go back later looking at it under a different view going, it may not be my favorite one. It's not the one I'm collecting stuff for or going for, but there's people that really enjoy it. Doesn't make it bad. It just means it may not be one I personally didn't enjoy as much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it has
And
to
that's a hard
spark
lesson.
joy, to be honest, because there's things I won't watch because I just don't like that type of material, or I don't like,
That's fine.
or there's comics I won't read, and I'll either even skip over certain story arcs because I'm like, oh, they're using that artist. I can't get into that person's art. And just like the dude once said, well, that's just your opinion, man. So I allow people to just say what they want, and it's just like, well, okay, as long as we're not insulting each other over it, it's okay to have these discussions of
And that's
canon or
kind of where it's sadly
multiverse or,
getting
or
to.
anything else have you of the fandom, because
Mhm.
it's what happens with all these things. There's things that when they bring something back, that there's going to be people, myself included, that if I'm a big fan of, I'm going to nitpick, saying like, that's not how it happened, but I guess I'll just have to take that. There's people who enjoyed Ghostbusters Answer the Call. Those things happen because they saw that as like a different universe and they thought it was funny. So these all these different fandoms or movies or TV shows that people like. And just my final thought to answer Rachel, for me, there is a perfect TV series that every episode is good, and that's Black Books.
Yeah. Could have been longer.
The
Chase, go ahead.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, go ahead.
That's the
Rachel.
only series I've ever had where every
No.
episode is good for me.
No, I'd have to really think about my perfect television show that has no bad episodes to be able to provide mine. So stay tuned on that. I might have an answer for you.
Oh,
All right,
there you
Chase, go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely think this is getting overblown in some
yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
I
not
think
saying
this is
yeah.
it's probably just a small group of people too, that or not, maybe not small, but I don't know.
I'd say Chris Gore is when it really kind of blew up because he's not a small reviewer for a lot of this stuff. He's been around for a
I
long
don't even know
time.
who he is.
Well, not
but
I was like, is that Al Gore's brother? What?
yeah, right. But this has been kind of an issue with Disney overall, though. Like because this isn't the first time they've been accused of this, or like stuff that they're tied to. So but Disney's also, I think Disney's also come out and kind of admitted like, oh, we need to stop like just churning out mediocre shit too. Like we need to actually maybe take some time, put some more thought into some of the stuff we're making.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, but I don't know. Like people are entitled to their opinions.
The only thing I want to say about that is it's one thing for them saying, hey, we're making too much stuff, we need to trim down and do that. It's another, which is part of what's going on with Star Wars, where they're like, well, you've got, minorities, you've got people that are gay, you've got all this other stuff that are being sprinkled in there, and somehow that's making it bad. And I'm like, that's reality. That is people. That is just how the world is. And that
I think the important thing to remember is like with the Marvel series and the Star Wars series, is that people need to know that the canon or the storylines are not going unchecked. Every Acolyte episode is actually passed through David Filoni before it's properly released, because they need to fact check everything so they're not deviating from any master plans that they might have in the whole universe. Same thing with Kevin Feige with Marvel. He was just like, we need to make sure everything like fits. Now they're realizing that they had too many branching storylines and they need to refocus.
Right.
So I love that they've separated their studios to Marvel Animation, that there's going to be like a particular amount of people working on it now. So it's not just don't give anybody free reign, because then you're going to get something weird.
And when it does branch out, it eventually does go back in. And that's why I like the fact checking.
Chris, go ahead.
A lot of this has to do with nostalgia too.
Yes.
Many people will only remember the bits that they like from the series they watched as children. And that means they may not have remembered certain other things. They may not have consumed media where what's happening is actually there and they didn't
Rose-colored
see it.
glasses.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I've been guilty of
unfortunately,
that
that
before
kind of
too.
nostalgia also feeds into the bad parts of Star Wars,
Mhm.
where you get too much spoon-fed to you that has zero substance. It's basically intergalactic gruel, like the $5,000 hotel that nobody went to, because you're just getting kind of paper-thin stuff, and
Yeah.
not everybody understands where all this is coming from. They just want a cash cow.
Yep.
Mhm.
Chase, go ahead.
Yeah, I think the important part too is that people just need to calm the fuck down. Just in general.
Yeah.
Like, I think, I kind of was Swan in the sense that, like, I never even heard of this until you just put it on the thing, and I was just kind of like,
Well, this was
oh,
this was a
well.
main part of it that popped up that it's been going around for some of the Star Wars parts, but there's other variations and other groups recently I've seen this come up as, and it's like, why? And I think you guys nailed it on the head that the negativity gets clicks.
Yeah.
But
It
we
definitely
focused,
does.
and that's one thing I've tried really hard not to do with this show. I didn't want it to just be negative. Yes, we get upset about things, rightfully so. Dr. Disrespect can go fuck himself. But I want us to actually be able to celebrate and enjoy things. That's the intent of this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I thought this was such a weird way of doing it. And like I said, I'm fine with people not enjoying something. We can talk about it, discuss it. Steven and I have had some really hilarious conversations where he's just like, what you like is absolute garbage. But
It's
we were
true.
laughing about it. Yeah, shut up. But we're civil about it and having fun with it. And that's fine. I like hearing the other opinions. But there is a side of it that just becomes so much vitriol to it that
Mhm.
even if somebody is celebrating it and having fun, they have to try and wiggle their way in there. And if they're having an event, they have to try and crash it to say something, or if they're talking about it, they have to get into that. Like they're trying to pound it into your head that you must hate this because it's not the way we want it. So that's how it has to be. Instead of just being an adult and going, this part of it's not for me. And there's
Yeah,
so much Star Wars. I don't see how. I mean, this is not even just Star Wars. Everything. It's like there's so much of all this stuff. You can pick and choose. It's okay. It's not going to hurt you.
See, Chris, you can watch episode 9 in its entirety.
I can, but I won't.
Yeah, please
And that's
don't.
fine. But I like parts of it.
You did the Lego version at least.
That was fun.
There you go. See, I watched it. I'm done.
But like I said, but
Um,
on the flip side, apparently Chris does not like episode 9, but he's not sitting there going, well, all of Star Wars is shit and telling me I should be bad for liking Acolyte, which has happened. And I'm like,
The Star Wars is bad and you should feel bad.
Zoidberg.
Zoidberg.
God, that even happened with Futurama for a while. It was just every fandom has just got a shit side. Like what
It
the hell?
does. Oh, it
it
does.
all-
And
yeah, all of them
some
do.
some are worse than others.
To
Yeah.
bring back a classic meme
Yes.
of Willy Wonka just doing this, it's like, oh, you don't like the way Star Wars Acolyte's going? How many seasons of The Simpsons have you still been watching? It's like, come on.
Yeah. I
Like-
mean,
It's like nobody's attacking The Simpsons right now when
I
it's
think-
the Homer show.
I-
So
Lots of people are attacking this.
I think
okay, but it hasn't gotten to this amount of like vitriol. Like if you like any Simpsons past season 13, you need to be drug out in the street and shot, like Garfield says. It's like,
I-
come
go
on.
ahead,
I
Rachel.
don't
I
think.
think the moral of this is if you don't like it, don't watch it.
Yeah, and that's true.
Yeah. If you don't like the game, don't play it. If you don't like the book, don't read it.
Also, just think though too is that respect other people's opinions
Oh yeah.
to a certain extent. Right?
As long as they're not harmful.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
But
everybody is
But-
entitled to their own opinion as long as they're not hurting other people. That is
Exactly.
that is the
No,
mantra.
I'm perfectly
It's a
fine
good
with that.
opinion. It's an opinion, and it's a healthy debate until insults are thrown.
Yeah.
Then it's nothing, and you should
But I
stop.
think
Yeah.
I think that's the problem. Is insults get thrown out way too quickly.
Yeah.
all
It
the
just,
time.
Well,
yeah. A lot of the people doing events like this, like the Star Wars funeral for the franchise or whatever, are a big problem in a lot of these. And it's just, it's okay to just have discussions about stuff. Like that's half the fun of it. Even stuff like we were talking about Mega Man earlier today, me and Brent, which ones we liked, which ones we didn't like. We weren't looking at each other going like, well, you're not a real Mega Man fan because you didn't like this one, or, you know, we're not Mega Man fans because we hated this one, or
Christian loves X8.
Do
yeah,
you want me to play that again?
we talked
Played
about
these games. I forced these games onto my friends during game nights, and you all begged me to stop. So, if you want me to start again,
I find that hilarious because X8 got brought up today when we saw it too. He's like, oh my God, that one's horrible. And I was like,
well, no,
really?
it was X7.
Oh,
X7 was the one
7.
that they made. They begged me to turn the console off.
All I know right now is Jennifer's gotten on a kick for Mega Man, and Mega Man 8 has become one of the favorites she loves to play. So she
That's
likes
a
it.
nice
I think she just likes the animation and the gameplay. So
And now we
very
have
vivid
now we have a nice segue.
yes. So let's move on to happier news. I think we can all agree the bad side of fandoms can just fuck off. Moving on. All right. So Capcom, surprisingly, out of the blue, announced Dead Rising Deluxe remaster. We only got a short trailer that showed an updated Frank West, who looks kind of
You mean
weird.
Frank Aykroyd?
Yeah, but he looks like he's slowly morphing into Dan Aykroyd.
He looked more like Columbo to me, but whatever.
If there's a way to unlock a proton pack, I'm playing it more. I love this game, but I would do it.
Was, you know.
One more
Just one
thing.
more thing.
Yeah. But they showed like the mall, some of the zombies and so forth. And this is a full remaster of it. Or almost a remake, because we had the original game on 360 back in 2005. And then I think it was 2012 we got an HD remaster of it which is the original game just upscaled for Xbox One and PS4. We're not going to talk about the Wii version that came out before that.
That was the best. That was one of the best ones.
I could barely render zombies.
No timer, and it played like Resident Evil 4.
Oh, it was. I have it. It's rough. Ooh. So this one's supposed to be kind of all the models are redone and some other stuff. I'm hoping there is an option for a no timer run around. That'd be great.
And it's coming out for the newest generation of consoles.
Yes, I thought that was an interesting way of saying that, because could this be a Switch 2 game? We don't know.
Well, that's also like covering all their bases. So anytime anyone says that, even if it comes out on a different console that comes out in the future, nobody can say that they didn't say that it wouldn't.
Well, that's the fun of what we're saying with it, because Capcom never normally says it like that. It's just kind of a weird.
If I see a
Wording.
PS4 version, though, I'm going to riot.
You have a PS4 version. That's the other one. We have
I'm gonna
Dead
be like,
Rising
you
at
lied
home.
to me.
Oh God. This also
could
went
you?
along with Capcom announcing a 25-minute long event called Capcom Next for July 1st. That's going to feature footage and things from Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. So we'll see some more details on that. News about the Konitsugami Path of the Goddess. And then the one I'm really not going to care about, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard for iPhone and iPad.
What is the point?
So far, all of those coming to iPhone games have all financially failed. So this is probably Capcom's last try, because people just don't want to play it on.
Maybe they have some kind of contract thing with Apple with putting things on there that they legally have to try to put so many games on there, and this is the last one. That makes sense.
Playing
Yeah.
these games on an iPad
like a
is
3-game
truly
deal
survival
or something
horror.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
playing
maybe
these
they got
games on
money out of it.
Yeah, playing these games on an iPad is truly survival horror.
Truly.
Ugh. They also, at the bottom, I noticed a note very clearly says, there will be no updates or news about Monster Hunter Wilds. So it's basically like, just shut up and don't ask us.
Yeah, it needs to be its own direct or showcase.
It'll
or
probably
state
be
of
its
play
own,
anyway.
its own thing.
As
100%.
detailed as that game looks, it probably does need its own
Oh,
thing
I
in
guarantee
general.
it'll get one.
Yep.
Probably on the Switch too. No. So is anybody else? I know not everyone is a big zombie fan, but I loved the original Dead Rising. I thought it was such a ridiculous idea, and pretty much a very blatant ripoff of Dawn of the Dead in a fun way. But is anyone else excited to actually play this?
I love the Dead Rising series,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, it got much better when it got to like 3 or 4, because 4 even got co-op. But,
yeah, that's another one we should try. I have it.
But please get rid of the timer, because the timer can just like, it in the original it just like ruined your mojo. While in the fourth one it just means somebody dies and you get a different ending.
Right.
This
Take you
one
out
it's
of the
like,
experience.
you actually can't go any further, or this is a total failure and you're going to get just a quick ending and not actually get to the end of the game.
I'd say those
So-
kind of things kind of take you out of the experience of the game a lot of times because you feel so rushed or stressed out. And
The two things
I'm not
that-
about stress.
The two things that need to be options are escort missions and timers.
Yeah, I like the timer in the game, but I agree it should have been an optional mode. Like, let it be a difficulty setting where you have that, because it gives you a challenge to see what you can do.
Yeah,
and change
I
the
don't
ending.
care. I'll play
You
on.
just give me a free mode.
I'll play on story mode if it takes away the timer. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm cool with that too.
If you're a speedrunner, then play on the other difficulty settings. Just leave me out of it.
Because that was one of my favorite parts of Dead Rising 2, was the timer was gone, and I was like, cool, I get to just run around and do stupid shit, and it's great.
Because you want to explore them all.
Yeah.
Dude.
I wanted to see how much weird crap I
And
could
kill
use as a
zombies.
weapon. So,
I wanted
right.
to like try to duct tape stuff together and just kill zombies. See what
Exactly.
like new and inventive things I could do.
oh, that's what I'm hoping. If this is a remaster, I hope they bring in the mechanics from the later games, like 2 and on, where you could combine items to make new weapons. Because
Yeah.
you couldn't do that in the first one. It was just whatever you happen to pick up is what it is.
I hope they leave the Mega Buster in.
I hope so. I never could really get that because you had to do all this ridiculous crap to get it. Now, I mean, you could find the version that just shot like the foam balls, and that was hilarious because it would just bounce off their head and they might fall over. But the actual Mega Buster that could charge shot and blow through stuff, like, you had to beat the game so many times under a certain amount of time, and like, it was. Games really need to stop putting all the super fun stuff behind ridiculous difficulties, because you're just saying, hey, you're never going to get to experience the best part of this game. Enjoy paying us. So, yep. All right. Moving on to a little bit more Resident Evil Capcom news. So, Capcom is working with GOG.com to release the original PC releases of Resident Evil, Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 3. Our Resident Evil is available now, and you can buy it for, I think, $10, or you can get all 3 games for $25, I believe. And as 2 and 3 release, you will just get those. And the cool thing about these is they've been updated to work with Windows 10 and 11. They've got updated controller support, and they will work with newer cards. Go ahead, Stephen.
I really hope either the people who worked on it, or the compatibility is that some of the mods that either change around the characters, the randomizers, and my favorite, not the upscale, but the HD remaster that uses machine learning to fix all the textures so you can read them. I really hope that's
one. Even the artists in that game were panning that one, going like, it's just kind of smeared a lot of our work and just looks really bad to me.
Because the when you watch the one that where they went through and kind of fixed a lot of the scenes, I thought it looked tremendous, and that should be the way you play it now, I think.
I don't know. It kind of feels like it breaks the look of the game to do that, because this is different than like when people would go through and retexture games, but just kind of doing AI to do a lot of that just kind of feels weird. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm looking forward to getting these and trying them out, though, because I have the original PC release of Resident Evil, and I have not been able to play that in a while because it's just not easy to get it running on new machines. So I'll probably pick these up. I might just grab the $24 one and get all 3. But anyone else going to be trying them?
No.
I have them on PlayStation and GameCube and Dreamcast and everything else, so I don't know if I needed them again.
Just my favorite version of Resident Evil 1 is still the DS release. That's still the one I love to play the most. I don't know if you guys ever messed with that one or not.
Yeah, I beat that one too. That was good.
That was a good one. Plus, it was another fun use of the DS name, so it was Deadly Silence.
Just like Dead Rising and their DRDR.
Yep. All right, and our last bit of news. So, Forza Horizon 4 is being delisted soon. This comes as the fact that the Forza series is reliant on licensed music, licensed cars, things like that. So there is a time window they're able to have this out, which I know people are kind of upset about, but it also is kind of a well-known secret why a lot of these games don't come back, like they're not backwards compatible and so forth, because they won't allow for that licensing to work in that way. But Microsoft has kind of gone above and beyond on this one, because if you played this on Game Pass and you bought any of the DLC, they've started issuing out digital codes for all the users to get the full digital standard edition release of the game so they can continue playing even after it is delisted. So I thought that was at least nice. It's not a perfect answer to this because, it's kind of the damnation of licensing at this point. I wish they would release a full version of it. They've only done that a few times. There's some older Forzas you could get some of the DLC on a disc, but they haven't done that since the 360 at the earliest, or the latest, I think. Yeah, Chase, go ahead.
I think this is Microsoft trying to protect Game Pass in a way. Like Game Pass is their baby, and so they're trying to, like smooth it over a little bit for people.
Well, I mean, normally, like for stuff that's this heavily licensed,
yeah,
it's it's the ones that get bogged down for backwards compatibility. Unless I know you could for some of the PlayStation stuff because they did it as a general thing, but when they're having to do software updates like they do for Series X and everything, it requires a license update.
Yeah,
for them to be able to sell it or offer it. Which, if that was not allowed, I mean, hopefully from now on they can work that out better. But it's been that way for quite a while. That's why you can't play Forza 1, 2, or 3 or any of the other Horizons on there.
Yeah, was it like Forza Motorsport 7? The only people that can actually play that anymore is people that either own it physical or they bought it before a certain day. I think Microsoft did something.
Well, anyone that bought it, if you had it before the day it was, I don't think that one's delisted yet, is it? For 7,
it's not delisted, but you can't buy it either. You had to have had to have bought it before a certain day, like digitally. And Microsoft because I was trying to look it up, and I didn't realize that there was a new Forza Motorsport that just come out. And when I was looking it up, they said if you've bought it before this day, then you can still have access to it, but otherwise we're not selling it to anybody anymore.
Yeah, this affects
it says
a lot
it's
of
due to licensing agreements.
Yeah.
So much like with music, it looks like even cars are up for grabs when it comes to digital.
Oh,
it's been that way for a while. It's like why they've said they could never re-release Beetle Adventure Racing, because Volkswagen will not re-up the license on the Volkswagens. Now
that's because they don't make them anymore.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, they're very weird about the license. They finally gave it back to Transformers to use it for Bumblebee for a little bit, but then that's been kind of going back and forth. But then I guess I didn't realize this at first. Beetle Adventure Racing was released in Europe as a different car. So maybe they can make a deal with them and we can at least get it in some form. The game was great. Go play that title. It's hilarious.
Companies are real weird about how they how they're willing to give out licenses to. Like I've noticed.
Yeah.
I could wax lyrical about licensing stuff.
Rachel knows all about it.
I know so many licensing things.
Like I heard about that what was that thing that about like Apple, for instance, like you can't use an iPhone unless it's like if they're the villain, they're not allowed to use an iPhone type thing. Like if they're the bad guy, it's just really weird stuff
for a lot of stuff. Because if you see one person not using an iPhone, you're like, well, they're the villain. And it's like, once you know that, you're damned.
No,
it's just really weird. Like
I have so many interesting licensing stories that I will save for later.
Off the show, yeah.
Yeah, it's a licensing is no joke, guys. There is I have a friend that works at quite literally the intellectual property office.
Nice.
And the stuff that comes across her desk, no joke. It's stressful. Like you'd be surprised what you need a license for.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Well, if you think about it,
even last episode when we went through all of the announcements, it was interesting to find out with like the Marvel vs. Capcom collection.
Mhm.
It was identical to the collection that came out for the arcade 1-up cabinets, but licensing for the cabinet was different because that one was classified as a toy.
Yep.
Mhm.
So toys had a different licensing agreement than
Yep.
video games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why in the beginning they were like, it's going to be a lot harder to ever bring these to consoles and make them playable. And that's why a lot of people are like applauding Capcom, because they're like, you had to put in the work to get that license for consoles.
Yeah,
Somebody
one of the
from
weirdest-
legal
oh.
at Capcom really, to use a really modern term, they really cooked. Like they went ham.
Well, one of my favorite weird quirks about this, if you look at it, is Funko Pops. Because you see like all the DC characters, and a lot of the Funkos are a solid normal head. Like this Blue Beetle, it's intact. But if you look at any that are Disney, Star Wars, or Marvel, they're bobbleheads. Every single one of them. They cannot not be a bobblehead, because ones like this are considered action figures, which different companies own the rights to produce with Disney in them. But bobbleheads don't count as the same. So that's the loophole for them to be able to produce them, which is why I don't like getting most of those, because I don't like the bobbleheads.
That's why you never open them, so they are not bobbleheads.
Yeah, none of my Funkos ever leave their box, and I don't have too many of them.
Jeremy, as weird as
My
this
little
sounds,
gamer
because
Bart Simpson is
as weird as this sounds, because it's not even an enlarged head, it's the regular size head.
right.
I have a Metroid Prime Samus bobblehead, but I'm never going to open it, because why would you want to see something the size of the helmet you showed us bobble? It makes no sense.
I want to know where the hell you got that. I didn't know they made one. What the crap?
I have a lot of unique treasures.
But yeah, licensing is such a weird thing. But like, and this is not just Microsoft being affected by it. Like I said, Beetle Adventure Racing can't come back. A lot of those older racing games.
Everything is affected by licensing.
Well, Gran
Even-
Turismo can't come back on PlayStation because
Yeah.
of the exact same reason.
Yeah.
Mhm. And even if you don't think licensing is involved when something hasn't like come around,
Mhm.
it probably is. And sometimes when you think it's a licensing problem, it isn't. Does anyone know what game I'm referring to?
No, I was trying to think of a different example of something else, but
It's Crisis Core. We all thought it was
okay.
a licensing issue with using a particular Japanese music artist's voice and likeness.
Oh, that's right.
It was not. It actually he had like no idea that was a thing. Like he literally was like, I was fine with it. So it was something else that was holding them back.
Yeah, because
So.
there's also the region
Mhm.
of the world that do licensing different, and that's
Yep.
why
Yep.
if you caught it early and you played for Sega Genesis, the two versions of Shinobi, you either had the one where you fought Batman and Spider-Man as them,
Yep.
but they were the bosses, they were villains,
Mhm.
and then you played the one where they were like, oh crap, we don't have those licenses, so they made Spider Guy and Bat Monster
Yeah.
instead, and I was just like, they were surely them, logos and all before, but now they had to get rid of all that.
Well,
Oh,
other
but-
stuff, like if you're streaming older TV shows or a movie, you're like, this music doesn't sound right. It might not be in there, or entire episodes could be pulled.
Oh, you mean like
because-
all of Scrubs and most of
I think this even affected
Supernatural.
Supernatural
Yeah.
some, yeah, because they changed
So-
or removed music. Or
Well,
episodes.
it's for so and the reason behind that is with licensing in TV is the license at the time that the show was being filmed, aired, whatever, that license only covered when it was airing on cable television. It does not cover streaming stuff. So there's literally some audiologist.
doesn't cover perpetuity.
Yeah, it doesn't cover
Right.
perpetuity. It doesn't cover streaming. But some person at the production company then has to basically painstakingly like take out. It's all done on a separate track. All of the like music audio, it's all done on a separate like line when you're looking at
Yeah.
like it in the video editor. So they have to take that out and put something else in.
Yeah, it's
And-
no different than like some modern games having a streaming mode where they have, music that doesn't require a
Right.
license that you can play publicly
Mhm.
versus what you hear in your own game.
But I will
change.
also say too that
Mhm.
that particular license for having the music where it basically in its original form when it was aired on TV, that license covered the production of DVDs and Blu-ray
Which is why
because
physical media is so important, people.
exactly. So we've come full circle.
Yep.
And
Right
probably,
back to that.
Yeah, probably a good time to move to the big question, maybe.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into that. All right, so with Capcom's surprise return with games like Marvel vs. Capcom, Phoenix Wright, and now Dead Rising recently, what is a series you would love to see a new entry, a remaster, or a collection from on modern hardware? And I'll start off on this one because what immediately came to mind for me was the Power Stone series. Like, we never get to see those. We had Power Stone 1 and 2 on the Dreamcast, and then we had kind of a fun collection / remake on PSP that had its own little quirks, but then it just died away. And I think with good modern online, that would be a really fun collection to have, because that was a great series. I absolutely love that one. The other one I can think of, and I think Rachel will appreciate this because it's kind of the sibling to one of her favorite series, and that is the Professor Layton series, which even does include a crossover with one of your favorite series.
It does. I will say that is, that's the only, I have it too. That's the only game, that's quite literally the only game that they haven't done.
Well, we are getting a new entry though.
Oh yeah,
yes,
I know.
I'm waiting on that one.
I know. I'm waiting
I
on that
would
one.
like to see that collection though, like given the same treatment.
It would be the perfect time to do so because they ported the that other Layton game to Switch.
Mm-hmm.
The daughter
or whatever. So they ported that one, and that was a 3DS game. So I do not see a feasible reason for them not to, unless it's some weird licensing thing, but I wouldn't know what that would be licensing in level 5. Like, I don't know.
I just say it this way. If I get a Professor Layton collection, like you got your Phoenix Wright ones, I'm going to freak out too.
Oh, I will. I'm like, come on, let's do it. What's stopping you?
And speaking of being, physical media, especially since for some reason it's ballooning in price right now, if you can find the anime, the Professor Layton and the Eternal Diva, so you can complete your mysteries of Professor Layton, find it right now because it's jumping up now because people are getting Layton crazy.
Ooh,
well,
remind me to look that up later then.
It is the perfect time to re-release a remastered version or just port them for Pete's sake. Because they're doing a new title. So there's going to be there's a ton of traction with like cozy games, and the Layton series is a perfect cozy game series because it's just puzzles. Yes, the puzzles are hard.
I want to see. I love the animation in those. Even all the way back on the DS, they did such a good job with that. Very British anime style, and I always loved it.
It's wonderful, and I think it would sell very well. And if nothing else, the Phoenix Wright collection proved that it's good to do that, and people like it, and people will play it. So I'm with you on that one.
Awesome. Chris, let's do you next.
All right. Well, for me, it was not only Power Stone, but
nice.
A bunch of stuff. I'd like to see a 3D Capcom collection. Power Stone, Rival Schools, Techromancer, and all of the Star Gladiator as well, and all the sequels therein. Maybe even Tatsunoko versus Capcom.
Such an underrated fighting game.
Many good 3D fighting games. We've finally got Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which has more 3D in it than people remember, and that just means, the door's open. We have more options. Tatsunoko would probably be a little difficult because of, as we talked about today, licensing. But
thank God for physical media.
We're in the one of one.
Yes, we're in that timeline. But, there's a lot of really great games that Capcom has just sat on in terms of fighting. And I think it'd be a lot of fun to just have them all in a big collection.
That would be a good one. I would love that. You get me thinking of Tatsunoko versus Capcom now. I absolutely love that game.
All 5 of us Techromancer fans, we want that game.
Oh, man. All right. Steven, I think we know your answer.
So, no, I'm going to basically take a page out of Capcom's announcement and just be like, if on Nintendo Direct they said something like, "Now's the time for some Snow 9," and they just said, we're bringing the 2 classics back. One never released it, outside of Japan, fully translated, but just give us Snatcher and give us Police Knots, because we never got Police Knots here. Everything's unofficial. It's like Mother 3. Everything's unofficial. So give us the 2. Konami, if you're listening, that's really easy to do with the translation. And if you want to pull another Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta, whatever, use the exact same audio dub as you did on the Sega CD version.
It's a good version.
I really don't care if you remaster the cutscenes or not, especially if you give me a Miles Edgeworth option of going back and forth between the 2.
That'd be
So
great.
beautiful.
But we're in the one of one, as people say, where some of the most expensive games out there are finally getting re-released so people can relax and enjoy them.
Yeah.
So this is one that everybody wants to play. So if you kind of release this as a 2-pack, especially if you go out of your way, Konami, and you dub Police Knots, I'd probably faint. So
yeah, I loved playing through Snatcher. I had a lot of fun with you doing that, and I would love to play a new version of it. All right, Chase, what about you? What are your choices for this?
First things that came to mind was I'm a big fan of the Ninja Gaiden series. Love to see that one get a actual continuation of the story. I never did play this. I played all 3 of the main games. I didn't play the spin-off. I can't remember it was Ninja Gaiden.
Sigma? No,
Sigma was the collection.
the DS one?
Sigma was the remakes of
Yasha?
the.
Yes, that one.
Oh yeah,
I've heard things about Yasha.
So,
I've heard
Yeah.
that shit.
but
you're not missing anything on that one, too.
Yeah,
Yaiba.
so-
It's Yaiba.
Yaiba.
That's
Yaiba,
Yaiba,
Ninja
that was
Gaiden
it.
Z,
Where
as
you-
in 0 people like it.
yeah. That was the one where you played as
Thought
the rival
DS one was
clan.
better.
Yeah,
Um,
I beat that, unfortunately.
So,
Wow.
but I've played 1, 2, and 3. I know a lot of people hated 3, but I actually enjoyed it. Like, for the most part, I like Ryu as a character, and I just would like to see his story actually getting continued.
I played 3 on the Wii U.
Yeah.
The Master
did too,
Collection is
actually.
good, though.
Yeah. The other game that came to mind right away is, and this goes back to the very first episode of me getting cut off, which was great.
Sorry about that.
Can we just please, like, EA, for the love of God, can we just get Titanfall 3? Like, Titanfall 2 is one of the most amazing games.
It still is.
Like, it's one of my top 5. Like, I mean, it was one of my top 5 of all time. Like, just the story was great. Like, it was engaging. It was a fun shooter to play. Like, the gunplay and everything was great. Can we just please get 3? Fuck this Apex Legends shit. Can we just get 3? So yeah, and last but not least, I'm a big fan of the Dynasty Warriors series. I'd love to see Koei Tecmo. They don't need to remake them. They don't need to do anything. Can we just get like a collection of some of the older Dynasty Warriors games, just so that way we could play them on newer consoles? Though that'd be great. I'd love it. Fans have been asking about that for ages.
Yeah, I still want to play that first one because it trips me out that series started up as a fighting game, and I did not realize that at first.
Mm-hmm.
That's a weird twist.
Yeah,
good choices.
So those are kind of those are the ones that just came to mind right away for me.
Well, we got one left, and I know she's going to have some answers. I wanted to wait and let her get that excitement out and just kind of hold it up there for a moment. So, Rachel, what about you?
Well, you had me on the Layton series, I'll say that. But I was thinking of, okay, first and foremost, what games did I love that I know are trapped on older consoles? They are in older console jail, as it were. One of them is The Last Story. It's trapped on Wii. It's got, Nobuo Uematsu. It's got a great story. The art style is very unique.
Yeah.
It had an ending, but then at the same time it didn't have an ending, and the actual ending was on like this weird mobile like story game. I don't know, and I don't care at this point on that one. But the game itself that was on the Wii was just so good, and I enjoyed it so much. I just feel that it should get something. Like, I would love for them to bring it over to the Switch.
Yeah, it'd be a good
And
fit.
I don't know. I remember reading an article somewhere about them kind of talking about it, but nothing really came of it because the other developer at the time was just like no or something like that. I'll have to look it up.
We don't like
Um,
money.
but I think it would be great because people are really into unique RPGs now,
Yeah.
and that one I thought was unique. I mean, it was part of Operation Rainfall, and if they can bring all the Xenoblade stuff over, why the heck can't they do it for Last Story? And then maybe if they brought Last Story and Last Story did well, maybe they'd port Pandora's Tower. Did I ever play Pandora's Tower? No, but my
I
friends
like
did.
that one. Yeah, I
It
even
had
like
a
that one.
it had a very pretty box art. That's all I remember. But
It's a fun world to explore, but continue.
and then the next one was another game that's trapped on handheld. Solata Robo Red the Hunter. I don't know if you guys have ever played that or seen that.
I think I know of it.
It is a very rare game and very expensive. So
Now you got me looking. Do I have this?
yeah,
Probably
go on,
not.
Steven.
Have you played Fuga Melodies of Steel?
What?
Okay,
I think
Good
you said English.
insight.
I'm not sure.
There's
What's
a game
you?
for Switch. Yes, it's a tactics game, so just put that in check.
Mm.
But it's called Fuga, Fuga, Melodies of Steel.
Mhm.
It is part of the Little Tail Bronx series, and it is a prequel to Tail Concerto and Solo to Robo the Red Hunter. So,
Fuga.
And I
And
do
then
not have that
Tale
game.
of
Red the Hunter.
Concerto I'll also write down.
but you just have to know that it's because Tail Concerto played one way, and then Solo to Robo took it the next level, and then Fuga just went strictly tactics, but it's even more cinematic than those two, so you get more of the world of those characters. And I was just like, I really want a physical of Fuga because right now it's trapped on digital.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because I personally own Tail Concerto. I'm looking at it up there, and Solo to Robo in the original box,
Mhm.
and I've loved those series,
Like
even though I had to get into a mech a few times.
yeah,
But anyway,
but it's trapped. It's trapped, and it's very rare. And the only reason I played it is I got really lucky when I had a GameFly subscription, and I got it from there, and I played a little bit of it. Didn't get to keep it for long, but played a little bit of it. And then finally, and I'm briefly being occupied by Joey Astral projecting himself, is Golden Sun, for the love of God. It's on, they have it now on the Nintendo Switch Online thing, both of them. But the third one is trapped on DS. The third one ended with a cliffhanger. Are we ever going to find out what happens with that? Come on, Camelot. Stop making the damn tennis games. So, damn Mario sports games. It's where they're trapped. They're trapped in sports in the Olympics, and let
If they
them
make some
out.
money that way, but yeah, I
Let
wouldn't
them
mind
out. Let them
them.
do something they want to do for once.
set them free.
Let them free.
You monsters.
So,
Give,
but yeah.
give the sports over to next level games. They do good stuff.
Yeah, they honestly let Camelot finish. Let's let them make a fourth game. Let them end it so then I can be happy. So, but yeah. And everyone was really excited about Golden Sun coming to Nintendo Switch Online. Like
Yeah.
everybody was very happy about it, and people were playing it and enjoying it. And I'm just like, come on, y'all know what to do.
It's the other Isaac everybody loves.
I mean,
Yes,
I'm sure they
exactly.
get time, like numbers from people playing it, like to see how popular it is, how long they're playing it, and stuff like that. Nintendo gets that data, so they're seeing something.
Yeah. Every time this kind of question comes up in other conversations with friends, I literally, the audio that plays in my head is that when I'm not on TikTok super often, but when I am, it's the Kendrick, give me and I will owe you my life. That's literally me with this.
Lord.
Like I would love
So
that.
it's interesting too, because if you've gotten the email, all I can say is surveys are very important.
Yeah.
And out of the blue, Nintendo sent a Nintendo Switch Online survey out to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually has in there, what would you like to see Nintendo Switch Online do. So they basically open the doors for us to say things like this.
Yeah.
So if you want to tell them to bring a DS section or to bring a Wii section, anything to bring some of these games back,
Yeah.
people are like, take those surveys. Those surveys are what they look at even more than somebody's post doing hashtag bring back.
I do not get surveys from Nintendo. I don't know why, but I don't.
Dang.
Check your spam folder.
Maybe it goes to my spam. I don't know.
Yeah.
Google is like that weird psycho uncle that's obsessed with like people sending them stuff that they don't want, and it sends all kinds of stuff to the spam folder that doesn't need to be sent to the spam folder. So,
Lord. Well, which I guess we can go ahead and end from there and start moving on. We've had a pretty full show. I guess this went longer than I anticipated, but we've had a lot to catch up on. We didn't get to talk about our own stuff. Yeah. We had thoughts. Yeah, very thoughtful episode this time. But if you enjoyed this, please feel free to give us a like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you're watching the video version over on YouTube, comments help as well. And if you want the audio version of this, you can go check us out over on Apple Podcasts and other places like that. Anywhere you can find your shows, just search for the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast and you'll find us. Leave us a 5-star review, comment and share it with people. That helps us out a lot. And if you're listening, the video version, of course, is youtube.com/ZenspathCom. If you want to talk to us directly over on Twitter, it's at Zenspath Podcast. We'll answer from there, or you can go to bit.ly/Zenspath Discord and talk to us there. So if you want to talk about the latest episodes of The Acolyte or other stuff or shows you may not like but don't want to be an ass about it, talk to us on the Discord. Just be polite. We will ban you otherwise. But this has been episode 133 of the Zenspath Entertainment Podcast, and we're out. Peace.
Use the Force, Harry.